Hey everyone, welcome to Virtual Vegfest Live. We are sponsored by the Plant Based Network. And as usual, if something that goes live, you have to pivot and make changes. When Copper Branch in Nashville has a major emergency and they actually had to close the restaurant because of it. And that made it so that they could not go live today. So we'll reschedule them for the summer because I'm booked through July now. But Kathy Hester is I love. And she's, if you call up Kathy Hester pretty much any time and say, hey, can you do this? 99% of the time, she'll do it. And sadly, sometimes it's at her own detriment, which I don't like, but I'm really appreciative of the fact that she can jump on. And instead of a cooking demo today, it's going to be a conversation, tips and tricks for cooking and being in the kitchen and vegan, and who knows where it's going to go. So any questions or comments that you have, please remember to put them into the little box. This is my first time standing because my desk is now raised and I kind of like it because it gives me more freedom. It's also healthier for my back. So let's also say thank you to our newest sponsor, which is Cinnaholic. Do you know Cinnaholic? Cinnaholic.com. Look in your community. Here in Cary, in North Carolina, and Charlotte in North Carolina, we've got Cinnaholics. In Knoxville as well, another city that we do events, there's a Cinnaholic. Pigeon Forge in Tennessee, Cinnaholic. What's so special about Cinnaholic? It's vegan cinnamon rolls, and they're part of our prize packs. So you can enter a monthly contest by going to virtualvegfest.com, click the contest tab, enter to win a prize pack from Cinnaholic, Orgain, Follow Your Heart, Crafters Organics, and Hodo Foods. And show them some love by liking their social media as well. But Cinnaholic is our newest one. We're so happy that they're here. And tomorrow, we're going to talk with Cindy from Cinnaholic so you can get to know them a little bit better if you don't know them at all. And if you do know them, you're going to learn some really cool stuff about the history of the company and also how they source their ingredients, which probably matters to a lot of people that are vegan or care about what they put into their food, and then you consume it to your body. So with that, I think I'm good. Subscribe to Virtual Veg Fest on YouTube. 25 entries through the contest if you subscribe to our YouTube. Hint, hint, it's really what we want you to do. And 25 entries doing one of those really cool prize packs. I mean, come on, it's easy. So here we go. Let's go get Kathy. Hey!
Hey,
Busy day.
I'm actually trying to share some stuff really quick from yours because someone just told me they couldn't get to it from the thing I shared a minute ago. But hello, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day.
Yeah, I'm excited about this because when it comes to cooking, which we both do, you do a lot more than I do, but we both do pretty often, there's so many things. There's appliances, there's spices, there's tips and tricks on how you cut things or how you buy things or where you buy them, or there's so much stuff to talk about. I mean, we could talk about appliances for days.
And I do have some show and tell stuff around because
Hmm.
I'm that way.
Yeah, no, that's perfect because I don't. I have some amazing trail mix from Blissfully Vegan Organics, who's our newest vendor on virtualvegfest.com. This is so good. Highly
Oh, yeah.
recommend checking them out.
You were talking about spice blends. I've just spent today making a bunch of spice blends. Breakfast sausage spice blend, Polish sausage spice blend, Italian sausage, and andouille blends.
And I know what those are for.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a class on Saturday. I'm so
One
excited. And now
p.m.
I'm not going to see you on Saturday because the event was canceled. So I think I
Shoot,
know where you live.
we can meet up and I'll give you some sausages if you want for sure. And actually, that's one of the things I can play with. So I have the sausage I made this morning. So I'm testing out a different recipe
Oh.
too for the class. And I have some sausage accoutrements. So what's hard, vegan sausage is easy to find, What's harder is gluten-free vegan sausage.
Yep.
What's even harder than that is whole food plant-based gluten-free vegan sausage.
Yeah,
The holy grail.
now you're going into and also having it still taste good.
Right,
That's
and the texture can be hard. Today I was playing with definitely more of a whole food plant-based. All the recipes that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be doing 3. One is for veggie dogs that have veggies in them, like crazy people. We're going to be making those. And I've got a red lentil sweet potato millet sausage that I made some chorizo with. And the cool thing is once you have the right texture, then you can put any sausage spice blend you want with that, which is super cool. And today I've been trying one that's chickpea, brown rice, and kale with Italian sausage spice.
oh wow. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
it sounds absolutely incredible. So Kathy, just we kind of jumped in and we do this because we think everybody knows who you are. But for those who don't, please share a little bit more about you.
absolutely. I'm the worst about introducing myself. So I'm Kathy Hester. I'm the author of 10 traditionally published vegan cookbooks. I've sold over 150,000 copies of cookbooks, which is kind of exciting. I also run the blogs plantbasedinstantpot.com, which is all plant based, and Instant Pot, like it makes sense, and Healthy Slow Cooking, which does not make sense because it's vegan, whole food plant based, in a slow cooker, instant pot, air fryer, stove, any of the things. So just ignore that. And it's my old blog. And so what I love to do is develop inclusive recipes that meet you where you're at as far as allergies, intolerances, or dietary limitations. So I make recipes that vegans can eat and that whole food plant-based no oil people and even no oil, salt, or sugar people can adapt.
No, that's perfect. Yes, and your books, happily, best-selling items on virtualvegfest.com are books. And yours are up there. We actually sold 18 of the Vegucated Family Table books.
Very nice.
So excited. It's the best we've done.
That's awesome. And you've got Randy's new vegan comfort food book, don't you? Are you not having
We're
that?
not going to put it on the site because she self-publishes.
Ah, okay.
But for everyone who knows, Bohemian Vegan Kitchen, which is Randy, will be on Saturday at 4 p.m. Not a cooking demo, but a talk, so you get to know all about her. A little nervous about doing a cooking demo, which I totally understand. Doing one live is not for the faint of heart because anything can happen. So, right, exactly. We prefer live over here with Kathy and Helene, but a lot of people do not.
I, well, and I've got Randy's cookbook, and it's really good. She did a really amazing job on it. But I know there's at least 3 cookbooks still because we've sold out, I think, 1 or 2, but we still have outrageous oatmeals, which actually, I'm trying to think. No, that must have been my 3rd sausage. I have like a sausage recipe every book,
Oh, that's
almost every
awesome.
book that I've done. And the one in there you can actually get on healthyslowcooking.com. And it's my steel cut oat sausage crumbles. And so they're good to put on top of pizzas and stuff like that.
That's
But
really
then
cool.
this is the link sausage that we're making. And this is experimental. So this one I've had out to see what's going to happen after it dries out a little bit.
Huh.
But here, I'll cut it. It holds together pretty good, actually. This is the one that actually is a little bit on the dry side, which is going to get fixed.
That's awesome.
But
How do you fix that without oil?
oh, well, there's all different kinds of binders you can use. So for this one, I had some chickpeas that were already cooked and drained for a while, and some brown rice we cooked 2 days ago. I put this in the food processor. The other one is a much wetter mixture, even though it is also oil free, but it gets a lot of it from the sweet potato puree and the red lentil puree. So this one got more of it from flaxseed and water.
Okay, that's a
And
binder.
so if and I'm probably going to do this tomorrow. I'm going to make a fresh batch of rice and cook it with fresh rice and see what the texture difference is. This is why I end up with 80,000 of everything too. In case someone like the scallop, if you guys didn't try the Instant Pot scallop potatoes that I made last month, I think it was last month, you totally have to. But I had to make 5 of them to make
So
sure it was.
so speaking of the potatoes, the reason why I know where Kathy lives is because we went to get the potatoes at her house, and which was great. It was a fun day. We were like all over Durham. We went to the Durham Costco. We went across to Gangster Vegan and got food from them. Came home and Stephen was going to the house with the bag, and the bottom of the bag fell out, and the dish with the potatoes in it dropped to the floor, and the dish was glass, and it cracked. It didn't just crack; it cracked, and I was like, "Can we salvage this?" So I painstakingly picked the glass off of just and kept it on. I kept it upside down so the cover was on the counter. Picked the glass off of the potatoes everywhere I could. Took a knife and cut around the center. Actually, I think I cut the top off first because it was glass on the top. Cut that off and then cut it so I took out the middle, and we ate that.
And let's just say we don't recommend that you do that at home.
I really didn't want to throw. I was so upset. I really didn't want to throw that out at all, and it worked out so I could do that.
It's
I mean,
true.
there was a
It's
piece of me that was thinking, "Are we eating glass?" I think it was not healthy to eat glass, but I think I did a good job of because it was on the outside. The middle was fine once I cut off the top, So I mean, that's how badly I wanted to eat the potatoes.
well, and you need to try that fresh because it you got it a couple of days later. And so what happens, because when you're cooking with no oil, things do dry out a lot faster than normal because, it's the only game in town, the liquid that's there. So when you first open it, if you guys go to Healthy Slow Cooking Facebook page, you will see the video. So I do a whole video demoing it that you can watch right now, should you care to. It's super dead simple to do. I do put it in a 7-cup Pyrex, like the round ones, and I lower it down in an OXO baking sling. So this is my new toy I got yesterday for steaming sausages in the Instant Pot. But it has little handles like this, so you can just lift it in and out because you can't pull those things up with like tongs or something like that. You're stuck. But when it first comes out, it's so ooey gooey, and it's basically oats and spices and some water that makes that gooey cheese sauce, which is really cool.
It was really good. I was like, it was good microwaved. I mean, I just took the innards and just microwaved them and we ate them. So I was like, yeah, okay, so this will be great fresh.
I had them for breakfast multiple times and a whole lunch multiple times, and we still ended up not going through all of them before it was time to throw some away, which made me sad.
Yeah, it's
But
hard to be, testing recipes all the time.
well, and it's not necessarily hard, but it's fun, so I actually on Instagram, because these are when you're steaming things up, I actually decided to roll these up and show people how to roll them up, because even if you're making gluten-y sausages, yeah. See, this is my first. Oh, this one broke because I just grabbed it wrong, but still, this one's pretty good and moist. I don't know if you can see very well.
Yeah.
But you with the same stuff, so if it gets too hard and dry, so that's going to be the trick, is to make sure. I'll probably leave this wrapped up in parchment in the fridge and possibly even the freezer, since it doesn't have oil in it, to kind of keep that moisture in there a little bit more. And if something like that dries out in the freezer, honestly, what I would do, and I was thinking I may do this in class anyhow, is just crumble up one, put it in a fry pan, and make sausage crumbles. like for sausage gravy or the tops of pizzas. So when you're looking at like, oh no, if I try this, what will happen? Oh no, the worst result is sausage gravy.
Right. Or on pasta. Just drizzle it on pasta. It's the first place I go to. I go to pasta probably all the time.
Pasta is really good. And so I actually cut up one of these earlier because you could fry the little medallion coins, and that's what I would put on top of pasta. Because even with those, so like when you do the steel cut oat crumbles, you basically half cook steel cut oats. Then you put some parchment paper, you mix spices and things in there, and then you spread it out in the oven. And then you kind of I take a spatula and chop them up until they're crumbly. And then you can actually store them in an airtight container because they should be dried, like dehydrated, dried out enough that they'll last for a few days, at least a week.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, if you throw that into a stew, it's going to turn into oatmeal again. So,
Right.
kind of like this. I don't know. I think this would be great to do like those Italian sausage sandwiches where you saute onions and I would probably saute some mushrooms too and put all over on a bun. I think it would be really good. And that would be awesome. But like, I don't know that these aren't going to be the sausages you're going to want to cover in sauce and vegan mozzarella and put in the oven. I'm not sure these would last through it quite so well. That's the hard part when you're not using something like pea protein, like the Beyond
Mhm.
sausages or wheat gluten.
Right, right. So it's the hold. It's the hold of the sausage. It's, you're going for the taste and the look and
Yeah,
not necessarily the feel. If
right.
that makes
Although I will,
sense.
the chorizo I made with the red lentil and everything, so I steamed them like that. Then I cut them into quarters and chopped them up. And so I actually used it on quesadillas and some other things, and it worked out really well. But sometimes you are going to have that second cooking. But like, think about it, even a Beyond sausage, it's not like you just pop that thing out and you're like, oh
Right.
good, let's eat it now, right? You still have to texturize it and make it kind of less gross.
Yeah, cook. Cooking is not a bad thing, and recooking something also isn't a bad thing because one of the things that I love about everything that you do is that you do offer the examples and varieties of stuff, and even if something was already done, you can be like, oh well, you can do this, you can do that, and I think that's really important for people to realize that just because a recipe says to do something doesn't mean you have to do that.
Exactly. And that's what we do in classes a lot. So the difference maybe between a live and a class is often, obviously a class is 2 to 3 hours and you can watch it live or watch a replay. So you don't have to put your whole life on hold for 3 hours, but that we get to go into the minutia of it. And often I will go ahead and so usually I try to make up one recipe during most classes. So I'll be like, let's see if this works.
Right.
And then we can talk our way through it, right? So I did a patty class, so like a veggie burger class, and we talked about what's the same about the patties that we did, what's different. You know, this is going to be a similar thing as far as what's binding it together, right?
Yes. And it's important, and it doesn't always work. And that's okay too. And there are times where I've made something and I won't eat it. But other people like it still, but I'm like, nope, not nope.
The way I always look at that, so like, I've made hundreds of recipes. I've developed hundreds of recipes, and there's maybe been 4 or 5 we couldn't eat.
That's not bad. That's good
Maybe.
odds. Yeah, that's really good
And
odds.
and I think the thing is that I would rather have people think about instead of worrying about is this going to be good? What if I mess up? Whatever you make homemade is going to be at least as good, even if it's not perfect, as spaghetti and sauce from a jar, which would be your backup anyhow.
It's true. I mean, sometimes those mistakes or mistakes in quotes are the saving grace. And the problem is a lot of times, like the way I cook, I don't measure. So I just kind of just do. And I don't necessarily know what I did. And it's like, oh, this is really good. We're never going to have this again. Because I don't, I can replicate somewhat, but I'll never replicate the exact amounts. Like I made a tofu cream sauce last night from Silken Tofu, and I opened up the oregano because I was going more Italian because we used the last of Steven's sauce that he makes homemade. And I was like, oh, let me put some oregano in. But I opened up the pour side instead of the sprinkle side. So I was like, oh, that's a lot of oregano. But it was delicious. I'll never do that again because it was a mistake. I skipped the
You know,
basil because I had so much oregano in there.
and it's okay. Yeah, like with making all these sausage blends, I used up all my paprika. I have to like order more now. Like so a lot of times I'll get a pound of spices, like the Frontier Herb pound things.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been some things that I haven't written down. And I would encourage you guys when you're experimenting with food, and I'd encourage you, Helene. And I know it's hard because I don't like to do it either, but even if you just have a little pad like this, just sitting out there, just like so you can scribble. And actually, I can show you guys if I can reach over here. Like I made a new book. So I usually have books that just have nothing but scribbles. And so it gives you an idea to start. And you can either turn those into cookbook ideas, blog ideas, or share with your friends. But also it does let you kind of have a better base when you start off again. There's one recipe I do really regret not writing down.
Which
And
one?
so I didn't think it would work. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was just like doing a Hail Mary. I was making kind of this chili-based Mexican stew. You wouldn't like it because it was with mushrooms and eggplant. And I thought it was going to turn out too bitter and be a little bit weird. And I put in tomatillos and all these things. And then I smell when I'm cooking. So if I have a stew, then I'm like, is this good? Right? Smell across and your body will go, oh, no, don't do that. Or, And if it's the, that's a good sign to go ahead and put it in. And sometimes I will even put in a tiny amount, a quarter of a teaspoon, and then another half teaspoon or something like that until I'm like, I've got 2 tablespoons of this in there now. It's
It
a
needs
lot.
something more. It needs something. It needs something else to do this. Like that cream sauce. You know, you typically go cashews when I make the
Mhm.
cream sauce, and I didn't want to have the fat or the calories. So silken tofu is my new love for making sauces because one, it's easy. Two, it's not calorie dense. You know, and it's organic silken tofu. So I basically took 2 cloves of garlic, 2 big cloves of garlic, throw them into the Vitamix, pour the tofu in. I forgot the lemon juice until after it was blending, and just spices. So oregano, the BJ's the no salt organic mix, black pepper, sea salt with garlic, more garlic, and a mixture from that spice company. You know what spice company I'm talking about?
Savory Spice Shop,
No, the other one. You always
Penzies,
Penzies. Yes, I bought it,
love
and it was
Penzies.
a little odd because it went with like a pepper route, and but I was like, I'll put a little bit of this in, and then all that oregano, and just mix that up through a little bit of the lemon juice and mix it up and mix that into the pasta, and it was delicious, not calorie dense, healthier than in a sense healthier than using raw organic cashews, but not in the sense of healthier in the sense of calories, not in the sense of it not being healthy.
Right.
Obviously,
Well,
less
and there's
fat too.
yeah, there are layers of what people consider healthy. So, like if you're on something like Chef AJ's Sophist diet, you can't have cashews, or maybe you have a cashew allergy. So, there's all kinds of reasons to have different sauces that might be better for you. One of the things I've been talking a lot on Clubhouse lately in a lot
Yes.
of vegan rooms. I didn't schedule any of my own rooms, and I still have been in a room almost every day. And if you guys don't, Clubhouse is an iPhone, iPad only for the moment app. It's kind of like a social media, but it's an audio only. So it's on your phone. You can either just listen to people talk about a subject you're interested in, or you can actually, it's like an interactive podcast you can choose to talk to. So if you're interested in that, you guys can also, I don't know, you can message me or something like that and I'll tell you. But this week has been the week of let's be inclusive and how do we get everybody to come into our rooms and feel safe.
Yep.
And so I feel like as soon as you said that, I felt all those conversations rushing back about it's okay if you're on Chef AJ's diet. It's okay if you're just doing Meatless Monday. And and here's what's so cool about vegan plant-based eating is that you can make that creamy sauce with cashews. You can make it with tofu. You can make it with rolled oats, which is one of my favorite things to do. There's so many tricks of the trade to make things work just right for you.
Exactly. It depends on where you're at. Like last night, I didn't want the fat or the calories to go along with that. I wanted it to be, and I'll call it healthier, but it's not healthier. It's just I didn't want to eat the calories and the fat from the cashews because it's delicious. And you know what? It blends up faster when it's tofu because it's already silken. So it was really fast. It was made. I mean, the cashew is made really fast too, but I've fallen in love with silken tofu sauces because it's so versatile with what just the different spices you put in there. I always use garlic, and then whatever direction you want to go. It's a dip for vegetables. It's a covering for pasta. I mean, you can put it over potatoes. I mean, there's so many things you can do with it that you really can't go wrong because your tofu takes on the flavor of what you put into it. So put in flavors you like.
It's true. I do find if I was doing a cashew sauce, an oat sauce, and a tofu sauce. So the cashew sauce would probably be the most moderate with seasonings because you're going to get some of that oomph from the fat of the cashews because they're all mild flavors. I find with the oats, I use a little more salt or salt substitute. So by salt substitute, I mean whatever flavoring you want to put in there. So I have a plain salt substitute, which I do a tablespoon. I mix this up in a little jar and use it like salt. A tablespoon of ground garlic, like dried granulated garlic or garlic powder, a tablespoon of onion powder, and a teaspoon of ground celery seed, and mix that all together because that gives that bite that salt does without having, like if you use Mrs. Dash or some of the other things, it could be Calypso blend, and that's going to have a lot of flavors, or Cajun blend, which isn't going to go with this Italian sauce Helene was trying to make.
That's true.
So that's why I call it neutral. And then if I'm using tofu, though, I do find I end up using double of some herbs because I taste that soy. The soy is a little bit stronger to me. It doesn't. It's not like it's a bad taste or anything. It's just like with oats. Oats are just kind of this base flavor that need that extra seasoning. But it's almost always I add more salt to the oat and more seasoning to the tofu
No,
instead of vice
it
versa.
makes sense. Like that's why overdoing the oregano didn't it really impact it. And the garlic was fresh
Mm-hmm.
garlic, so it had that bite from the garlic, and then mixed in with obviously the sauce, the red sauce, which was very flavorful and had like chunks of veggies in it. Was It was amazing. Like I'm actually upset that Steven finished it overnight. I was like, there's no pasta left. I would have totally eaten that today. I was hungry. I was like, it's all gone. So when he finishes stuff like that, I know that it was good, because, which is great. But it's like, wait a second, I want another serving.
Always this balance, right? Between somebody's got to eat these leftovers, and why did you eat the leftovers?
Yes, and if there's something that I really want, I say, leave me some of that. Right? I didn't expect it all to be gone. I would totally pick it up, Steven. But it was, and it's okay. You know why? Because one, he'll make more sauce because it's that good, and I'll make more pasta. I mean, it's like I can make this all again, so it's all cool. So I want to kind of pivot to appliances because we could
Okay.
talk about food like all day. But one thing that a lot of people ask questions about, and between the two of us, we have a lot of appliances. You've got multiples of things. I've got multiples of things, and I don't even do what you do. So, favorite out of the three, and this might be hard for you, right? Because they're gonna be some of your favorite things. So, air fryer, instant pot. What else is there?
Well,
Do we need anything else? Oh,
there's food processor and blender.
yeah, I was gonna go Vitamix, and then food processor, and then I guess I don't use my mixer all that much, but I have that too.
I use the mixer, but I actually have like slicing and shredding attachments for it.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
sometimes I will use it instead of my food processor because I hate cleaning my food processor. So that's something we can talk about later. But I have some recipes that are food processor worthy. They're worth the cleaning. But sometimes it depends on the time of the year. So I will say this. In the winter, I probably use my Instant Pot almost every day, all through the year. But in the winter, I'm doing a lot of soups and stews. So it's necessary. In the summer, my air fryer is necessary because it's too hot to turn on the oven.
Yep.
With that said, we use our air fryer all through the year too.
Right.
And you guys can kind of see the little corner of my Breville. We have a Phillips and what is it? The Instant Pot Vortex, which is a lot like the Go Wise one. And we use them a lot. What I like about the Breville, it is very expensive. So if you don't have a space for it, because it's big and it's expensive, but it also does things like dehydrates. You can make your tempeh, homemade tempeh in it. You can air fry in it. You can bake in it. You can toast in it. You can do all the things in it, really. But, you know, today I was really grateful for the Instant Pot because when I did my other sausage, steamed it on the stove, and it was just unwieldy. And so all those sausages just went in this and went in there, and then I left and I could do whatever I wanted and pulled them out in a basket. So when I travel, if we're going to an Airbnb, we bring both an air fryer and an Instant Pot, sometimes two Instant Pots and one air fryer. We drive to Florida with all that.
I travel with the Vitamix and the air fryer. That's what I traveled with. I wanted to bring knives even, but I contained myself and left knives at home.
Well, my friend Dawn lives in Houston with her family. So our families have been meeting for vacations. We haven't, obviously, it's been just a little over a year. It was right before everything happened that we were on our last vacation. But they brought isn't it the Berkey water filter?
Mm-hmm. I've done
So
that
they
too.
brought that. I brought the kettle, two Instant Pots. I think I brought the Vitamix too, because I think I made us like homemade frappuccinos and stuff like that. But
So,
yeah, because it's kind of cool to do it that way because then we ate out too. So
mhm.
but when you're gone, that's 3 meals a day. So I was kind of like, if we could just make breakfast and dinner
Yep.
most of the time, then we can have, kind of crappy lunch out. But
Oh, yeah, we do the opposite. We do breakfast, and then dinner is typically purchased out, and we're probably not around for lunch. We're probably just out doing stuff or at an event. But I bring the backup Vitamix. I bring the backup air fryer because if my mains break, I'm gonna be really upset to not have them. And I have a purple Go Wise that
yeah,
I'll travel with, and then I have the other air fryer I can't remember the name of it, but it's got three shelves. So it's kind of like the Breville. It dehydrates, it does all that. It's a lower price point, but I love having the shelves because I will put eggplant, sweet potato fries, like tofu, all in one and just cook. And you're like, oh, this is awesome. You're making three different things at one time as opposed to just the tray that drops in. And then, Vitamix wise, I'm a smoothie a day person. So I traveling with the Vitamix is that's probably my number one. The bringing the air fryer. Well, Steven thought I was out of my mind because I was like, because we moved into an Airbnb in Nashville in October, and like literally like we had so much stuff. It was for
Well,
3 days.
well, when we go, so like when Dawn and her husband are driving from Houston, their car is completely full. When we're driving, our car is completely full. Because I'm like, I bring like my Misfit Market, I bring, staple groceries. Because I'm like, I'm not going to go out and buy all this. I have it in my pantry already. So I just grab everything and we go. But like last time, I did the Misfit Market unboxing at Cheryl's mom's house. We just brought the cameras and everything. We just did all the stuff down there. And there's something really cool. And if anybody who's watching, if you guys have some questions, like if you're looking to get an air fryer, an Instant Pot, blender, anything like that, we'd be happy to help you with that.
Yeah,
We're also
definitely.
happy just to meander and chatter too, but I'd love it if you have some questions.
Yeah,
For,
definitely. Clearly, we have houses full of stuff that we use. And I mean, they do get used. The thing is, recently I bought a bread maker, and Kathy has had some of the bread twice. She's had my gluten free version, and I bought special flour that's supposed to be good for people that have gluten intolerance. So I've made some bread with that. And depending on the mix of flour, depends on how I feel. I have found that the bakery flour does not make me feel as well as the other versions of the flour. So, like the pizza flour, I was fine. And the bread flour, I was fine. But for some reason, the bakery type flour, I'm not
mm,
as much. So, but making
that
fresh
is a
bread,
fun, is it a finder grind?
probably because it's for a pastry.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, it's all made the same. No antibiotics, no chemicals. It's milled fresh. It was milled fresh like the day before it was shipped out to us, and absolutely amazing flour, all organic, and made the way flour. Wheat was processed before it became this issue with people having intolerances to it. But I never bought a bread maker because it's like a treadmill for people or exercise equipment. It ends up just being something that collects dust in your house because it's novelty ish, right?
Mhm.
Whereas I love having a bread maker. This I bought it off marketplace and I didn't I got a deal because I bought it used and it was like they like barely used it. It was a wedding gift for the couple that I bought it from. So I got it for a good price. I looked it up and like it's a Cuisinart, so good reviews. And we came home and made bread that night. Bread was coming out of it at probably midnight. Because it takes like 4 hours to make bread, but that's why I made the gluten-free loaf, and it was I was like, we have to try it. We can't just buy a bread maker and not try it. And we've used it weekly since, and it's been 3 weeks or 4 weeks now. I've made pizza dough twice, and loaves of bread, and we made that other bread that Kathy had that Steven made. We like took it out, shaped it, and then made it in our oven instead of making it in the bread maker. The fact that it does the work for you is it does everything. You just pour the ingredients in the order they're supposed to be put in because it's really important. I read up before I did this. Don't let the yeast like touch the water. It's like there's things you have to do, and you just turn it on, and you just walk away, and next thing
I
you
did
know,
have one for a while and I used it a lot years ago and then we didn't use it as much. But I before I got my gluten intolerant diagnosis, I was making this oatmeal bread a lot, but I just used my mixer because it really wasn't that hard. Because my wrists are fragile. So back in my 20s, I used to actually sell bread at some stores. So I used to do it by hand. I can't do it anymore. So I have to have something to knead it. But I did take a gluten-free baking course and I may be trying to do a few more breads like that. Cheryl got me like I have so many attachments to the KitchenAid that I don't use that much. I have the one that makes the long like lasagna noodles out of zucchini and stuff. I've
Oh,
got, oh yeah, no, I got all those. And so she gave me one that actually is a sifter and it weighs the flour at the same time once I got my gluten intolerant diagnosis.
that's awesome. And I can give you the recipe for that gluten-free bread that I made
Okay.
because I changed it because I don't follow recipes 100%. I made little adjustments to it, but I can tell you what I did because that bread was really good and that was a couple of days old when you had it and it was still really good for gluten-free bread. It's
Hmm.
dense, it's gluten-free, but it's high calories. It was like really high calories because I did the measurements on the calories, but it's really good. Like really, I think I want to make that again. But I mean, the smell of fresh baked bread in your house, whether it's gluten free or glutinous, I mean, there's not much. Like even the dough rising, it just there's a smell. And when what would happen is we'd make the bread, we'd be upstairs, and we'd walk down the stairs, and it would be like, this is the best smell ever. Because we just every time we go upstairs, we walk down and be like, ah, fresh bread downstairs. So yeah, I use my treadmill daily too. So I mean, I'm a fan of the appliances actually getting used before I purchase them. So I feel it's like getting a tattoo. You want to make sure that you're going to be okay with it because you're going to have it on your body for the rest of your life. Great value for the price that you pay, but you can't get rid of it. So make sure that you really want it and you're happy with it before doing it. And that's like I think for all these appliances, you want to make sure that's something you would use. And we both I couldn't live. I mean, I couldn't. Obviously, I could live without these. It's not really fair. Like white privilege. Like how can I say I can't live without a Vitamix? However, it does it make my life easier to make my smoothie? Yeah. And is it healthier for me? Yeah.
And you've got to look at the cost too. So, like, okay, first off, just so everybody knows, I'm not saying you have to buy a $400 blender.
Right.
Also have like a Ninja blender that I use the smaller ones on because I wanted to make sure my recipes would work in other things. I've got the Go Wise hot blender, which is kind of like a soup maker kind of thing, and stuff works in there too. So just know that. Um, but like I bought smoothies the other day. There was a new smoothie place I hadn't gone to. I went in. I'm like, okay, I'll bring Cheryl home a smoothie. It was $20 for two smoothies.
Probably
So if
like
I
12 ounces too.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I did get the ones with dragon fruit, so I feel like it was kind of okay because I always want to grab a dragon fruit, and I'm like, then I weigh it, and I'm like, no, I don't need the $7 in my life. This is not going to make it better. So, and I'm not saying if you love dragon fruit, you shouldn't get it. It's just one
Right.
of those things. Like, there's certain things I like measure out, but like, if you're if you will stop buying all canned beans and start cooking dried beans, then your Instant Pot pays for
Mm-hmm.
itself quite quickly. Same thing for cooking grains and things like that. And like if you're working at home or you're coming into work, you can still set it ahead of time. So if you're doing something like water and rice or water and millet, water and quinoa, it can be ready when you come home, which is really nice. Obviously, there's lots of ingredients you can't let sit all day. But what you could do is make a lovely stew in your slow cooker all day, have that rice come on either in the Instant Pot or your rice cooker, and then you come home to a meal. And even if you were going to eat something crappy out, right now you come home, you're hungry, it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can find more instant pots sometimes at thrift stores and like on Facebook Marketplace. Same thing with air fryers. People get them and then they don't learn how to use them. Then they think they're just not that important. So, no, and another place at least my people don't always remember to look here on Amazon. Helene, do you shop at Amazon Warehouse?
I haven't yet. I don't know why I don't do that, but I
Okay,
haven't
and
yet.
so like when you're at Amazon.com, they've got the little drop down and it'll say books and food, and Amazon Warehouse is one of those. And usually it's the Amazon returns. So the box will be dented. Maybe there's a small dent in your Instant Pot and you're saving $20 on it. sounds good to me. That's how
Right.
I got my first few air fryers, were significantly cheaper. So a lot of times, instead of going ahead, well, I'll wait for Amazon Prime Day when you
Right.
know these things are going to be on sale. Well, they cost the same right now on Amazon Warehouse.
Right. That, and I buy refurbished a lot.
Hmm.
Marketplace, like the Go Wise. I've No, that one was my first first one I think that I bought. So, but I always look for some sort of deal or promotion or Cyber Monday type thing. That's what the new air fryer was. It was a deal around Cyber Monday, Black Friday ish. And it was a great deal. It was like so worth it. But my Vitamix is refurbished. Both Vitamixes are refurbished because why they, especially Vitamix, like when they refurbish, it's like brand new. And you
Hmm.
can, even when you have it, you can send it back to them for like 100 something dollars. They'll refurbish your Vitamix for you, so you don't have to go buy a new one, which is
Another
amazing.
cool thing about if you're going to buy a Vitamix, I always recommend that people buy Vitamixes at Costco because of their return policy. So I got one because I had a TV rule. So Cheryl, like before we were together, my wife bought a new TV every year. Like still, we have extraordinarily large TVs, but
Yes,
there's
it was a great
there's
television.
a multiple year like no buying policy on that. So I think I said at that point she couldn't buy a TV for, I don't remember, it was 4 years. It might have been 3 or 4 years. And I'm like, even if like they make a TV where you can be inside of Star Wars virtually, that doesn't get you that. And she really wanted this TV, and I'm like, okay, fine, buy me a $400 blender. Expect her to go, okay, yeah, I'm back down. She's like, okay. And I'm like, sounds great to me. Get your new TV, give me a Vitamix. But like it was starting to, like the motor was doing something funny. It would go, and so this was, I don't know, 7 years later, 6 years later, I took it to Costco. They looked up my receipt for me because I did not have it. And they gave me a card with exactly every penny that I paid for that. I went back into the aisle, got the new Vitamix, and I think I paid $50 more because of inflation.
That's I know Costco is very liberal with their return policy, but 7 years? I was
Mhm.
like, okay, that's awesome.
So there,
I've bought refurbished through Vitamix directly. I mean, I
and
buy refurbished computers too, so
we bought lots of refurbished stuff, and I don't have any issues with refurbished at all. So know that. Um, it's just like I don't think it's worth like getting your instant pot from Costco because it's just not that big a purchase. With the
because they're like
buy,
$69 now. They've come down at 49 sometimes on sale. I mean, you it's not that expensive in comparison in general, I should say, to what they were when they first came out. Kind of like the
right.
air fryers and like the Ninja Foodie and like all that.
Well, the new stuff is always going to cost more, and it just kind of depends. So I got one of the later models. What is it? The Duo Evo Plus. And so I went, and I didn't like some stuff about it, but I'm starting to like some other stuff about it. But the one I recommend the most, because everyone's like, there's 80 bazillion ones, but wait, that one doesn't have the cake button. And it's like, you don't need any buttons. You need the pressure cooker button. It's nice if you can go ahead and get the yogurt button, because that does mean something different. Like, I also have the Duo Crisp air fryer one that they sent me. And that one, yeah, that one has the sous vide button. So that is also a different button. But like cake, egg, bean, all of those are just pressure cooker settings that are put in there. So I recommend that you get the Duo, probably the Duo 6 quart. It's just it used to be the only game in town. And it's still just good. It's inexpensive. If you know you're not ever going to make yogurt or want to make dosa or utapam batter or anything fermented, you could get the Lux, and I think you can get the Lux at Walmart fairly cheap. You can get those pretty Pioneer Women ones too. But I really like making soy yogurt. You can make soy and coconut yogurt very easily. You have to do some other magics to do some other milks, but I have successfully made yogurt with Ripple and other milks that have pea protein in it, it's still not as good, but it's close. So if you can't have soy, if you have an allergy or something like that, you can make coconut milk in it, or coconut yogurt, but you're using canned coconut milk. So I work with a lot of people who are eating low to no fat. So, and it's not going to be low calorie either.
No,
So
no, not with coconut, like that type of coconut. That's not going to
no,
happen.
full fat coconut milk is significant. So that's why I don't have a recipe for it, is I don't want to fight that battle because it's not important to me. But so I encourage you to maybe do that. You can kind of culture tempeh in it too if you do low and you pay really good attention, though it is not the best to do that with. So that's not a reason to buy it.
Another place that I buy stuff and I get really good deals, it comes out overnight while I'm sleeping. I wake up and look at it, is Woot, woot.com,
Oh, and
Woot. Big fan, look at it every single day. Sometimes you have to jump quickly on some of the deals that they have. I missed one yesterday, I think it was. They had the organic granola, like chocolate and berry. Can't remember the brand, but before I could get to even tell me if he wanted it or not, it was 6 bags of the granola for like $13.
ooh.
It's a
Well,
really good deal.
and we did go back recently to the Amazon bin
We
store,
did.
Bin City Bargains, but it was Target Day. So, like, we haven't really been in like 6 months. So, we kind of, as the virus went up, we kind of stayed home again. Um, and they're not having the same amounts of food, but I got vegan granola, I got Vega protein powder, 80 bazillion things of Oatly Barista, really cheap. So a lot of times you'll find that stuff in Woot, and Amazon owns Woot now.
Yep.
And so I think there's also like Amazon discounts. Sometimes you'll see some of the same stuff.
Yeah, and you know what? You know what would be dangerous? What would be dangerous if you and I went to that store and Stephen and Cheryl didn't come. We'll take my car. Because it's the same as Cheryl's car, but we'll have more room.
It's yeah, we're actually going through some of the stuff. It's been kind of interesting because we were kind of prepping in case the pandemic was going to get worse, but we like had cases. I got a case of Amy's chili, $8. Some cases of Amy's soups, which are great default things. So on the nights that you don't feel good, that you can't cook, because I mean, one thing is talking about how we cook all the time, but then sometimes Cheryl brings home food from Kava, or we'll go to Earth to Us, or we'll get something else too, because it's hard to keep up cooking, 3 meals a day for yourself.
Yeah, you don't want to. Sometimes you just want somebody else to cook for you, and that's okay. It's okay.
Well, and I have, one of my favorite decadent things to do is to make like a chili cheese dip. And we can either put that with pasta, we can bake up some corn chips from tortillas in the air fryer, and then it's not a horrible meal. It's not like going out and having nachos out
Right.
or something like that. So just make sure when you're thinking about all the things you want to do, and that's why, like, if I make something like these, like sausage or burgers or any of the things, I usually make a double batch and freeze them. And that just, again, gives me a night, like I can go to, I think Freddy's is our default burger place because we can get a black bean patty. I get it in a lettuce wrap. We just make sure no cheese, no Freddy sauce, and we're good to go. But you know what? If I could have my Hawaiian burger on a gluten-free bun at home, that's still much nicer. And I'm still not really cooking anything.
Right, because you're just reheating. That's what pasta is to me. In 15 minutes, I gotta have mac and cheese. Like seriously, 15 minutes, and that's 9 is cooking the pasta. So in the 9 minutes of cooking the pasta, I'm prepping, or the frozen vegetables are in the microwave, and then it's just a matter of putting it all together and then eating. It is the typically a Monday night meal because I'm so busy on Mondays, and literally throw that together and we just sit and eat. And I mean, that's why it's like pasta is a staple. I bought 4 cases of pasta. So like the Bio Nature pasta is my favorite, and we're part of the UNFI club, UNFI club that I've invited you to. I think I
I
told
know. I
Cheryl
need to
about
go
it.
look at that. I haven't had any time. You need to send that back to me again so I can, because
Yeah,
now that
definitely.
we're
You
starting to get some space from us going through a lot of the food that we had.
It's really
Like,
worth it. I mean, just for that pasta price, because you know how much that is, and I get it down to like $3 and something cents a box. And in the stores, if you don't know, I'm talking about Bio Nature. It's organic, gluten-free pasta. They have glutinous pasta as well, but I love the gluten-free pasta. Even if I could eat gluten, I would eat this pasta because it's that good. They changed the recipe to they removed potato from the recipe actually and put lentils in, and they didn't change the taste at all, which is amazing. So this pasta is normally like close to $5 a box. It's a 12-ounce box in the stores. So I always buy it online. But the UNFI club, the Buyers Club, that's for people that are local. Here, it's a monthly club where we can buy in bulk and we can split it amongst one another. It's brilliant.
say what the URL is again.
Oh, I'll have to give it to you because it's special.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was trying to get you to share it with everyone, but I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
know
it's
that was
yeah, it's a local club, so they couldn't even order if they wanted to unless they contact us because they live here in the
okay.
Raleigh Durham area. So
So if you do live here, contact Helene if you want to get
yes,
into the buying club.
yes, because we love to have more people, and Michael Bazinski is like really happy right now, even though he doesn't know I'm talking about it. He'll be really really happy because we want more people in the club because the more people, the more stuff we can buy. Like I buy 11 pounds of dates, but I split it with somebody. So I take home like 5 or 6 pounds of dates. So I don't have, and that way I get the benefit of the price of
Mm-hmm.
11 pounds of dates, but I'm not buying all 11 pounds, even though I would. But nutritional yeast is another one. Nutritional yeast is like close to somewhat $10 a pound in the store at times, somewhere in there, between 8 and $10 a pound. We can get it down to 6 something a pound, but we have to buy 50 pounds of it. And
Oh, I want in on that
it's
one.
really light, so it's a really big bag. So
Well, and see, so when the food stuff was happening, I actually had 6 bags of nutritional yeast. So some of them were the Frontier Herb one. I usually order them just the bags of Frontier Herb nutritional yeast, and a couple of other different brands because I'm brand non-specific when it comes to that. I haven't found a nutritional yeast that I don't like. I've heard other people have had very strong opinions, but no, I go through a decent amount of nutritional yeast.
daily, I like the large flake, so that's where I'm particular. So I like the large flake nutritional yeast, but and that's what I get. It's what we buy. If we can't get someone to split that 50 pounds, which means you really need to join the club so that we can. I'll get it. We like Dave and I, like Dave, housemate, former housemate Dave, we'll get 6 pound buckets each.
Mm.
And like the dogs get nutritional yeast every day on their food. Just so you know, you can do that. Your cats would love it too. I actually sprinkle it on their food because it's high in vitamin B vitamins, B complex vitamins, which are really really healthy for your dogs, and they love it. So it's a simple way to get that into them.
That's very, very true.
Yeah, so this has been so we're at an hour, so it's easy
I
for
can't believe
us.
nobody had a question. Still, people are still watching. I want to hear your questions,
Yeah,
but
if you have any questions, and Jackie is looking forward to the class on Saturday, which was a while ago that you said that, but that's awesome. She's one of your regulars, so she's your go-to for helping you out when you're live as well.
I've got lots of awesome people who come to the lives.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah, if anybody wants to join that class, Helene put the link up.
I did.
So take a look at there. If you have some questions, feel free to message me or email me even at kathyhester@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to hook you up. And then I
Yeah.
think in 2 weeks we're doing a Tex-Mex class. So I think we're doing tacos and fajitas.
Oh, that sounds good too. That sounds really good. Sometimes, when it comes to like somebody posted on Facebook asking a question about people who like cook all the time, is that how do you not get bored? How do you come up with the things that you're going to make? And a lot of times it comes down to we have to eat that avocado or we have to
Hmm.
make that eggplant. And then the meal just kind of literally builds around one piece of food. What goes with eggplant? What goes with an avocado? What goes with that hummus? And suddenly we're having like a wrap with eggplant and hummus and lettuce and red onion, and you're just eating. Oh, yummy! Jackie loves Tex-Mex. That's awesome. So
It was
sometimes,
one of the requests. So, like when you take a class, and if you're in Kathy's Cooking Club, you get to have input on what we do next. So, I think I mapped out stuff. So, I think there's like 4 Tex-Mex classes I want to do. We're working on New York deli, but that may be a little further out because I got to get. It's going to be gluten-free corned beef, gluten-free pastrami,
that
stuff
I
like
want to
that.
know all about. I want to know all about that. There's one food food has memories are associated with food, right? I think for
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, and when you don't eat certain foods anymore, but you have like this childhood thing that goes with it. There's one food that I always think about whether and it's not vegan whatsoever. Would I eat it because of the association I have with that memory? It's corned beef, actually. Corned
Mm-hmm.
beef on rye with the deli mustard with my dad at Nunley's on Long Island, which was a little amusement park with a really cool carousel. So we would go there and they had like almost looked like a Nathan's type front, but
Mm-hmm.
that we'd get corned beef sandwiches there. And then I'd go ride the carousel. So I have this association with a food that has a very strong positive memory. And I wouldn't eat the food, but to be able to have it in some form that makes sense, like gluten free and vegan, it tastes good. It's fatty. So if it has that fattiness to it, it tastes good with the mustard, then I'll make the rye bread.
Well, chances are it won't have a lot of fat in it because most of the people taking the classes are doing oil
Right,
free.
right.
So we could see about working on a different version, but let me get one version down. So, like right now, I'm working on the fat sausages. Then next is going to be something bigger.
Awesome.
So, fingers crossed. I mean, I've had some good luck. Like the veggie dogs were the things I made a couple of years ago, and they have like lots of veggies in there, but it also has things like I've got to remember off the top of my head now. I'll tell you what's in the. I think I have what's in the sausages that I made earlier. It has like quinoa flour, tapioca flour, oat flour, flaxseed, chickpea flour. So you when you don't have wheat gluten, you have to add some more protein flours in because the experiment of making this super pure is never going to hold up bigger ever under any circumstances. So that's going to be the trick. That's why it's getting pushed out. But if you have some New York deli favorites that you know you want me to include, uh, egg cream is happening the first class too. Someone's asked for an egg cream.
That's so cool.
That shouldn't be very hard though. That should be cake.
And there's no egg in egg cream, even
I
if
know.
it's not vegan. just it's just that Brooklyn egg cream. It's just like when you grow up in New York. That's
Yeah, it's
especially
because the frothiness in the top, that's where
yeah.
they got the name from. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Kathy, thank you so much again for jumping into a spot that opened up. Sometimes you get a couple of weeks, sometimes you get a few hours. Today was the few hours.
It's okay. It was just one of the I'm not able to go outside because it's the pollen fest.
I know.
So I was like, I got a lot done today. I might as well sit here and hang out with you for a little bit. Sounds great.
Thank you. Yes, I agree. The reason why my voice is scratchy and it kind of goes in and out now is because of the allergies and the environment that we live in at the moment. I didn't know this. It happened to me last year. Last year when I would do these lives because it started almost a year ago, I'd have to put myself on mute to cough. And like that cough where you can't see that I'm coughing because you keep your mouth closed when I'm coughing. Because
Hmm.
I didn't know what was wrong. And now a year later, I know exactly what's wrong because what happened to me last year is happening to me again this year. And of course, if you're not in North Carolina, but other areas are pollinating as well, but it is like this sickly color green everywhere at the moment.
Look, you can that haze
It's
in the window.
it's the
It's
pollen.
not about terrain.
Yep.
That's what's crazy. It's not. That's the pollen. Is making it look like that. Actually, if you look on Instagram under Kathy Hester Cooks, on my story, I posted some of them because they're crazy.
It is it's just it's something that we just live with here, and we have it's beautiful weather. I mean, spring is sprung, it's stunning, everything's blooming, the bees are happy, the carpenter bees are nose diving. The carpenter bee decided to dig a hole in like one of these things on my deck, and I was glad that it wasn't my house, so I was like, good job. I saw the fresh shavings, and I was like, oh, what'd you do there? Where's the hole? Oh, okay. You did a good
Yeah.
job too. It's actually a pretty big hole. So, but then I have a groundhog that has gnawed on the stairs of my deck, and I think that's adorable.
Well, we saw a snake recently, so Cheryl wasn't super happy about that. And what's weird is I actually saw the snake. She didn't see the snake. It's like we've got. I hate it. Calling it a pond is wrong, but it's like it's just a few feet, and it's not that big in front of the door. But I mean, it's big enough that you don't want to step in it, and it's in the ground. But there's some irises, so the iris leaves have grown up high, and I saw something like not shredded,
Slithering.
you know, so it wasn't even moving. I just saw it kind of ribboned. That's it, ribboned in on my.
Okay.
I was like, first I was like, is that a piece of trash? And then I was like,
Don't pick that up.
no. And then it was gone. It was at night that I saw it. And then Cheryl's like, well, I think I need to go do something. I'm like, don't go out there. It's dark. You're not going to see what's happening. And then she's like, it's gone now. And so now we acted like, oh no, like there are probably a bazillion snakes. And because we have an acre of property. So, and it's pretty wooded,
I love
but
snakes.
still,
I like love
sure.
snakes.
Oh, we'll be bringing you over.
I love snakes, and I was bitten by a snake when I was a kid, when I was younger at camp. So I still don't have a problem with snakes, even though
Like a
like it was
bad snake or an okay snake?
it was like nature at camp. And the snake, I had the snake in my hand. The snake was like I can move my hand up. The snake was just kind of going in between my fingers, and came up and just went chip right into my finger. And I was like, "What?" It threw the snake down. I was like, "What did you want?" So I was like, it's interesting to see a snake bite just because the three holes. It was not a poisonous snake. It was probably a garden
Okay.
snake or something. But because there's camp, they're not gonna have poisonous snakes.
Which we're a
So
little worried that this, because it was not a baby snake.
right.
And from what we saw in the mostly dark, but the light was shining at it, she thinks it might be a copperhead. We get a lot of copperheads in our neighborhood. So that's what's super worrisome.
Yeah, it's more worrisome for me for like if the dogs, for the snakes in the backyard. But the only snake that I didn't even see, but somebody who was out there saw it was a black snake, which are they're great for the environment. But I think I've seen some baby copperheads, but they don't survive for some reason. So I don't know. I don't know if they are because I see these snakes that have died and they're babies, and I mean I'm sure there are like you. I have woods all around my house, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean I'm just happy about the groundhogs. You have a vegan household. You're like, yeah, this is the place. This is safe.
Yeah, and now I'm not able to, like, I like to put out the little some of the compost stuff out for our little animals,
Hmm.
but because the snakes, I'm not allowed to do that anymore.
Oh, they're not
Yeah.
eating that.
No, but the things they want to eat are eating
Eating the
that.
animal. Yeah, that's true. But that's nature. They know how to deal. That's their world.
Yeah, but yeah, so Cheryl doesn't put down many rules, but so that's one of my rules for the summer. It used to be other rules that we've kind of gotten over.
That's
for now.
fair. I mean, that's when you live with somebody, you have to compromise and balance one another out. If that's your rules, I mean, you got your Vitamix and she got her television. It's a gorgeous television. If it's the one in the living room, it's absolutely gorgeous. I like made note of that. I was like, this is a huge television. Where I mean, we kind of need one of those for like when we play like We Fit tennis. We're playing on like this little screen, but to have that large screen, it would be amazing.
Oh, and see, I would have the same TV I had when we were together 15 years ago.
So you know, but Cheryl, I wouldn't buy a television every year, but I totally get the value of a big TV.
It's
So
been nice this year because it is almost like being at the movie theater
mhm.
because it's a big screen. So, but
Yeah,
anyhow,
you got the
but
use out of it.
it's been lovely to talk to you today. And again, if anybody has any questions about any of the places that we talked about, like Vitamix, Costco, refurbished appliances, Amazon warehouse, just let us know.
Yeah, Woot. There's so many things,
Mhm.
and more than happy as always, more than happy to help. So thank you for those of you who indulged us, because you know when Kathy and I go live, you kind of a voyeur on our conversation, and we really appreciate you indulging us.
Yeah.
And if we helped you at all, even better. So, Kathy, I will see you soon, probably in like 2 minutes. Oh, Cheryl, black snake keep bad snakes away.
I think she's in the car, so she probably what is it dictated that. I think that's why she it sounds a little bit funny.
It's awesome,
So she
but it's
may
true.
steal your black snake then, I guess.
Black snakes are very good. They're great for the environment and good to have around your house. So they eat the mice.
Awesome.
If I mean, not that I want mice to be eaten, but it's the circle of life. So they do what they do. Okay, but Kathy, thank you so much. So I don't continue. I will see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Everyone, thank you so much again for indulging and being part of Virtual Vegfest Live, our Thursday edition. And here comes my cat, who's normally not in the room with me, but I felt like she would not bother me while it was live. So just so you know, we're back on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. And we are having Randy from Bohemian Vegan Kitchen, and it's going to be another conversation. So this is the foodie week. So if you're all about food and you want to learn more, this is the week to tune in. Like every week's a good week to tune in, but food wise, it's a good foodie week. So remember to wear your mask over your nose, under your chin. Make sure you wear it correctly because, you know, COVID's still out there. You know, there's 5 states that are making up like all the COVID cases at the moment, which is not a great thing. Here comes my cat. So make sure you wear this correctly. And you know what? We're a big fan of vaccinations. Getting vaccinated, you can hear her. Getting vaccinated is a way for us to get back together. And we want to get back together. And we want to have events. And we're going to have outdoor events, but I want to get back to all 7 of our festivals and be able to do that in the 3 states that we're in. And the way to do that is to, you know, get vaccinated. And also, in getting vaccinated, we stop the virus from mutating to a point where it gets to it the vaccinations won't work or it becomes deadly, and that would be the scariest and worst thing in the world. So let's all be kind to one another and take care of one another, and one of the best ways to do that is to get vaccinated. So I will see you on Saturday. I'm gonna go talk to Kathy again. Bye everyone.